A large model Showman'S engine. This is part 40, almost finished. Assembling the riding truck and a bit of painting. These are the nameplates from my 7¼ inch gauge Titch locomotive that I built in 1996. The steam workshop took the engine in part exchange against the traction engine, and the current owner of the engine sent me the nameplates back, which was a nice thought. I thank you for that. Ken was my late father's name. This is about where I'm up to. 2 side plates covered in etched primer and 2 pieces of brass trim. These are the foot pegs for the engine, and I was quite lucky really because the rubbers are from a Manfrotto tripod. 2 Manfrotto tripods to be exact that I use in the workshop. They're actually from the pan and tilt handle on the tripods, but I don't use that in the workshop. But they're perfect for this job. I've often felt the need to have a multiple manifold, and now I've got one. Can you believe it? I bought it off eBay for £9. Now I can run up to 6 engines using compressed air. In the last episode I made a shovel and I left it in the acid bath. Here it is, out of the acid bath and rinsed off. I'm trying this scouring pad out and it seems to be okay, it's cleaning up quite well. I threaded a piece of 3/8 stainless steel, 3/8 by 26 threads per inch, and here I'm screwing it into position. I made a lock nut for it to make sure it doesn't work loose. This also allows me to position the handle relative to the blade of the shovel, because I shoveled the coal into the firehole door, holding the shovel handle by the right hand side. I sprayed the brass part with some heat-resistant paint, but I don't think this is going to last long. It just makes it look better. I'm actually quite pleased with it. I threw it together for an episode about basic metal bashing, and as you can see, it's worked out well. Now I need to make a firing iron, and the first thing to do is put a piece of bar in the bandsaw and saw it to length. And while that's happening, I'm threading the end of a piece of 3/8 stainless steel. And as with the shovel, I'm using a 3/8 by 26 threads per inch die. Here I'm winding off the die to reveal quite a good thread. I drilled and tapped the piece of stainless steel that I cut on the bandsaw, and here's the result. To the left of the shovel is a multi-purpose tool. It's good for raking out the ashes from the ashpan and even for poking the fire. On the other end of the firing irons, I pushed on 2 pieces of silicone rubber tubing. The reason for doing this is not for holding them, it's a health and safety thing, to blunt the end of the handle so I don't poke myself in the eye with them inadvertently. On the bench at the side of the rake and shovel are the painted motion guard side plates. I sprayed them with red oxide primer. You may be thinking, well, why have you done this? You've already sprayed them with etching primer. 2 problems with etching primer. One is, if you spray parts with etching primer and then sand it down, you will sand through it, showing the bare metal again. The other reason for using standard primer over the etch primer coat is because in the past I've found that when the paint's been damaged, it's come off the etch primer coat and the etch primer coat's been firmly stuck to the metal. That's why I've used a couple of coats of red oxide primer. Why did I use red oxide primer? Because it's the nearest colour to LMS Crimson Lake that I can find. You will notice from this clip that I haven't painted the top edge of the plates. That's because once the brass trim is fitted, I'll be polishing the top of the plate in the same area as well. By rubbing down the paint between coats, you do get a much better finish. I'm using a very fine 1200 grit wet-to-dry sandpaper for this job, and you will note I'm using it wet so that it doesn't clog up. In this clip I'm painting the inside part of the motion guard. I think I'm going to paint the inside of the motion guard with satin black paint, because they're going to get splattered with oil and too much red paint will not look good in this area. I think I'll have a close look at my 1.5 inch scale Showman'S engine and see what the colour scheme is for that. This red oxide primer, by the way, is high coat, and it's not very expensive, but it's quite good. Personally, I've never had any problems with it. Here are the 2 motion guard side plates, carefully laid on 2 pieces of very clean white cloth on the bench. The delivery of the paint from HMG Paints appears to be a bit on the slow side. I'm still awaiting delivery from 6 days ago. but I'm sure it will arrive eventually. There's plenty of other things to do though. Here are the foot pegs that I showed you earlier, and here they are fitted into the stirrup assembly, which has now been powder coated. I felt that black was the right colour for this, but for the rest of the driving truck I got as near as possible as I could to Crimson Lake. And now the driving truck looks like this. I've tapped in the square plastic pieces to plug up the ends of the box section. I've temporarily fitted the wheels, and here I'm fastening the seat in place. To do this I'm using 4 Allen cap head bolts. Just in case you're wondering where the seat came from, my good friend Bob Brocklehurst, who runs Pugney's Light Railway in Wakefield, gave me the seat to go with the frame that he'd made. Thanks Bob, you did a really good job. This clip shows the almost finished riding truck. I have to fit the wheels properly, but apart from that, this is the general arrangement. I need to build a special box that fits under the seat to hold things like my oil cans and bits and pieces. And here's the driver's eye view from the riding truck. I'm just at the right height. I can see down and through the engine. I can see the fire hole door, but I can also just see over the canopy. And that's it for this video. I'd just like to say, as always, stay safe, stay well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.